Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Ljubljana Talks, recorded in Belgrade at an amazing venue, which is the Ložionica, very new, very fashionable, amazing. And we are here as a part of the Conventa Try Before You Buy program. And it is exciting to have, well, Ljubljana as a background, but also to have a great guest with us, which is Dušan Stojaković from the Faculty of Contemporary Arts.
Exactly.
At the University of Belgrade. And it's going to be a conversation that we're going to touch on a lot of areas, I think. It's your first time at Ljubljana Talks, so welcome.
Thank you so much. There is an anecdote about Ljubljana. In my family, my dad used to live 18 years in Slovenia and Ljubljana. But he was born 2 days before the date, so I do not have Slovenian papers, unfortunately.
That is quite a story. Do you still go back to Ljubljana a lot?
Actually, I like visiting Slovenia because I think that's the amazing country where people love nature and nature love people. That's it.
Oh, very good point. I agree.
Exactly.
Yeah. We are now in Belgrade and it's a great city. It is an amazing hub of the region.
It is, but there is one doubt today for me. How could we translate this Ložionica name?
To English.
To English, yes. Mm-hmm. That was my doubt.
Very good point, actually. Yeah.
From the early morning.
That's probably there is a term within the all train aficionado community that they would know it. So we can try and figure it out, but they probably know it.
But there is a slang in modern language that this is something maybe where the ideas occur.
Okay. Yeah.
This is the great place to have great ideas.
Like a feeder, right?
Like a feeder, something like that.
Like a feeder, so it could be like
so it is something in between.
Creativity feeder.
Exactly.
Very nice, very nice. So, you know, this is exactly why we do these talks. It's to find little nuggets of gold and, you know, elaborate on them. So let's go back to Ložionica. How do you see it take its place, take its position as it has so far since the opening?
Actually, this part of the city was very ugly and it was neglected. It was actually dangerous because a lot of homeless people used to get along here and so on and so on. So I was very happy when something like this happened, the project like this, especially because I used to live in Dubai, where the areas like this are normal. Mm-hmm. So this is something that I got used to it. And actually when it was opened, I was happy to have one, let's say, multiple mixed interactive hub for a lot of purposes. But the main purpose is to invite creative people here and to have some engagement with them, especially if my students visited this venue yesterday. Usually they do not come because we have a lot of fancy events these days, not so educational yet, but I think this is a huge potential for some very, very creative and educational events like this one today. And they were super happy because for them, this was something like they said not interesting, super interesting. And it was very useful and they learned a lot. So these three feedbacks they gave.
You explained that they are very critical. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you
too.
so much for that point. They're Gen Z generation. So they usually say what they think. And they do not have fake feedbacks. If they like something. If they do not, they do not. And this was not something that they had to give me as a feedback. I just asked, how was your day yesterday? How was the lecture? And they said, super interesting. And I was super happy because I knew that it would be interesting and I was happy to have you here because I know how you do it. So yeah, it's a good synergy.
What are your students studying exactly? The ones that you brought?
Actually, I brought students from two courses. One is event management, which fits perfectly with what is the main topic that we were talking about. And the other one is something that is not maybe directly linked, but very, very good point it has with what is the main topic here, personal branding.
Okay.
And I think it is getting even more and more important, this personal branding it gives to the reputation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're touching on two things that I think both Gorazd and I are very passionate about. And one is taking the knowledge and democratizing it, just like we do with Ljubljana Talks, because this is on YouTube and anyone can go and watch it, your students can go and watch it. And at the same time, trying to give the initiative for people to find themselves, to be able to talk about themselves, to recognize certain things that they are passionate about, just like you are.
That's the main point of education from my point of view, and unfortunately this is not the main approach. Usually my colleagues, with all my respect, they teach some science or some skills or whatever, and they want all the definitions to be known by heart. This is not my approach. I try to teach the right logic to my students, and if they have the right logic, and if they discover the wish and the necessity to explore something, sky's the limit. And that's it. Especially if you mix it with some modern tools like AI. AI is not a bad tool. Maybe we do not use it in an appropriate way, but it's a good tool. And I have nothing to say when I see that someone was using AI, for example. Now, even if you Google, you have the AI answer first. And this is it. There is another angle. Let us teach them that each search has some CO2 emissions. Let us teach them to have clever searches. That's it, to be responsible. And this is it. And that is how we could bring that passion to them. If they do not know what they're passionate about, let us help them discover it. And everything is about discovery. It doesn't matter, is it a private or state faculty or the location or whatever. It's about my personal beliefs, my personal passion. And yes, as you said, I'm passionate about sustainability. This is what I love.
Actually, if I use the Jan's word, this is amazing. That's a mission, actually.
Yes.
Very nice mission.
Exactly.
But let's go to the events.
Yes, sure.
Your second part of life,
Yes.
You're teaching event management. You are organizing a lot of events.
In my corporate career.
Absolutely, for Hemofarm. And, what is your definition of a good event? Very simple question.
Yes, it's not an easy one.
Yeah.
But let me try to give some, maybe two main points. A good event is an event that met its goals, but that had a good impact. When I say good impact, it's a positive impact, both on the environment and on the society.
Super.
Because it's pointless to have the event that was super engaging, happy, whatever, super successful, shiny. And for example, the footprint is awful. For the previous 5 years, I used to go to work by plane. Each Tuesday, I went to Frankfurt, and each Friday, I was flying back. My footprint was awful, really awful. And then I decided to do something that should change that bad practice. I used to plant trees and greenery in the meantime like crazy to do something good. But just to go back to the point, there was one meeting which I attended with my colleagues, and 5 of us came to the party with 4 cars. And I was ashamed when I realized that. Okay, it was Friday, and it was the good option to skip a few hours and go home at 3 p.m., for example, compared to 6 p.m. or something like that. Yes, fair enough. But still, coming with 4 cars, the 5 of us, and the partner was shocked. And this is the turning point when I realized this needs to stop. And this is the same is like with the events.
Exactly.
And you have amazing venues, and now you choose the venues that have better ESG performance than the other ones that they do not. Absolutely. But also, in practice, you have some crazy things, like, for example, one of big companies in Serbia, Delta Holding, who is having this Sava Center. They refurbished it and renovated it, and they have some obligation to pay the taxes for cubic meter waste. And they have a huge space, but it is fully aligned and compliant with ESG. So they're even better than the law.
Dušan,
but
it's even possible now to sell the waste, actually.
Yeah,
You have these machines which are recycling, you know.
Exactly.
And that's amazing. You earn money out of the waste. That's the new approach too, you know.
Yes, yes. I was researching, for example, plastic bottles and what to do with them, and they saw that people are even building blocks or some plastic tiles. Amazing, really amazing. Yeah. So we should not throw them away. We should just something that I learned in Germany. They do not drink from the glasses because you need to wash them. Exactly. You need to use some human resource and some electricity and water. So I would drink from the bottle.
You're welcome.
Talking about economy, because we kind of came right into it. Of course, we are talking about economy of events, event economy. How strong do you see the economic impact of events, especially here right now, and what is coming?
This is a very good question, and it is a bit futuristic, because I think that we do not approach that point of view in the realistic way nowadays, because there is a huge economic potential. It is not only about economy, it is about both sustainability, and it is about innovation, and it is about synergy, and also we have something that goes beyond touristic approach, hospitality and so on. It is culture. So we need to approach this in a multi-layer approach in order to see what is the potential. And I'm sure that we should look before the event and after the event. This is the same trinity, before the event itself and after, some post-sales or whatever.
Agree.
So yeah, this is the concept. Like usually you have three pillars.
Religion.
Yes. Yeah, three pillars. Yeah, you need to have them, of course. Yeah.
Let's jump into Expo. We are talking a lot about that today. What is your feeling? What do you feel, see? What is going on from your point of view?
There is something in people, they do not like to welcome something that is new by heart. And this is like with being out of the comfort zone. When you do not know something and if you do not understand it, you're out of your comfort zone and you dislike it by default. I think the same thing is with Expo. But we need to be aware that the ordinary world is built for the ordinary people. I mean, for the people who are maybe not the most, let's say, ambitious ones and so on and so on. So about the Expo, I really welcome that idea. Because I think that, like in China, you know, the Chinese development, and you mentioned something about that today.
About sustainability.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they need to ruin some, let's say, parts of the nature, and they were aware of it, but they had a strategy how to overcome it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what is the analogy with the Expo? We need to go hand by hand with new technologies and trends. If we do not have events like the Expo, we skip the chance to do so in the appropriate amount of time. So we lose the track. That's the point. I really welcome the project. I think that apart from some controversies and so on, like any other project, even we heard today that in Japan it was, you know, like rejection and so on and so on. And I think that it could bring a lot if we do it in the right way. And if we focus to those three pillars before, during the event, and after that, I think we could do something good. For example, I live in the neighborhood that is not so far from the Expo. And I use that opportunity maybe to address local community, just to think of this part of the municipality that is in the same neighborhood like the Expo, and maybe to have some investments in the infrastructure and so on and so on. What I want to say, it would be a huge infrastructure investment in the area where is the Expo, but after the Expo, it should be the innovation hub, because we brought some new ideas.
Actually, like in Dubai, eh?
Like in Dubai, exactly.
And is there a plan to do that? Is there a vision to do that?
I think that the vision exists, but something that is lacking at this moment is a synergy between all the stakeholders that could be engaged in this process. But spending some time in the neighborhood like this, in the event hub like this, bringing us together, we could talk about it. And it is important to start talking about it. I mean, it's around the corner.
Of course. Because if you set it up now, you know what will happen. You know how to design it. You can really use the spaces. I mean, we had a conversation before about this, and I'm actually very happy that similar opinions about the impact and the potential that it has, the Expo 2027, is coming from different points of the industry around creating it. So I think that is very important. I think it's a great way of going forward. And talking about this, do you believe that not just economically, but the transformation power of such an event, where do you see it?
Actually, if I look to that question from the perspective of my students, this is the outstanding chance from them to learn really about creative industry, about amazing events, about amazing concepts, international, worldwide, unlimited concepts. So could we just compare it to any other chance? No. I mean,
A production, let's say.
Yeah, a production. Yeah. They could not travel to Japan, unfortunately. We're not so mobile, you know. In the EU, it is different. Young people travel more and so on and so on. We are a little bit passive here still, but they could not go to Japan. But they could take a bus or a metro, hopefully, and they could go to the expo and see the whole world. Yeah. So this is outstanding. This is the only chance for them, you know, just to open their minds and to have some other perspectives and so on and so on. Yeah.
Dušan, what comes to my mind is a little bit crazy, but if we compare Sarajevo Olympics and this project, what is in between? Or how can we compare this? In this region, I would say.
I think that I still have some souvenirs from the Olympics in Sarajevo. Vučko I have at home. Even some small pins, you know.
Yeah.
And the emotion when you see the Vučko and when you think about the Olympics, it's amazing. Everybody's happy.
You're proud, eh?
Yes, we are proud.
I'm also proud.
Yeah, we are proud.
To say Vučko
we are proud.
The logo
of the mascot of Olympics.
The mascot of a wolf.
Yes.
Yeah.
Stylish wolf. Yeah. So what is the point? I think that, but okay, there is a good reason for that. Not a good reason, but acceptable reason, due to divorce in XU and so on and so on. I think that we didn't use the best potential of post-Olympics engagement. Yeah. But what is the most important part of project management? Lessons learned. Yeah. Let us take it from there. Let us build on the lessons learned from the Olympics and do something really good for the expo and after the expo.
Agree.
Yeah.
That is really, really looking ahead. And do you see that you could not only make a case out of the Expo 27 and do out of that, but do you think that this could actually be a role model for perhaps a breakthrough in perception of what not just the meetings industry is and not what just the events are, but in tourism in general in the region?
Yes, for sure. The answer is big yes. Let me give you one example. It was back in 2019. We did an amazing event with Vekol. And it was the event of the year. It was, I think, 2019 or 2020. It depends. Was it for the previous year or for the actual year? I can't remember now. This is something that I show to my students still. So this is something that I build on the points and the practical learning about event management. Just imagine having the expo itself and showing what happened there. Yes. It would change the history. The modern history would be changed, and we need to be aware of that. And I like to approach things like in a positive way. Let us see what is positive about it. If I could not teach you something, let me see how I could serve you. And this is what I do with my students. So I think we could take a lot of lessons learned from the expo itself, see something that was not seen before in Serbia, and just change our approach, mindset, and everything.
Looking at your students today, and we talked a little bit about using AI and all that. Where is this generation going to? How do you see them? How are they different, perhaps?
There is one physical difference. You know, I still type like this.
Of course.
You know, being a professor and having glasses, you know, like this. They're like, that's it. And using AI, I mean, they're speeding up in an incomparable way. So, yeah, I think they're online 24/7. And this is not like before. I mean, imagining calling my professor, no way. but they text me, they call me, whatever, you know.
It goes like that, huh? Yeah.
Yes, we're on WhatsApp. So yeah, prior to coming here, they were asking some additional things, how to behave, you know, they're representing even a professor and so on and so on. They're dynamic, they are smart casual. Maybe that's the best definition. Unfortunately, sometimes maybe even too much informal. I mean, we need to do something to bring back the value of family upbringing, family education, bon ton, for example, but some modern bon ton, for example. Yeah.
Not too strict, eh?
Not too strict, but you know, just you know, something how to behave, how to hold the glass, how to say hi. Even in my company, I see some colleagues, young colleagues, they pass by and they do not say hi. But we're in the same corridor. I'm not by chance there. So this is something that was lost, but this is lost, you know, worldwide. So we need to.
But you can be proud. I was with them yesterday. It's a great group of young people. It brings such a positive vibe to the event yesterday. So you can be proud for sure.
Thanks. And they shared amazing photos. You saw their smiles and it was amazing. And even I sent to the editor of our website some small text, you know. I was, you know, just texting with Tanya just to have the right information, not to misunderstand something. And the lady said, and she's also a professor, a very successful one, she said, wow, this is so beautiful. So everyone had this feeling, wow.
Dušan, before we finish, provocation. Which city in the region, whatever we call this region, let's say so XU, is your favorite event city? Excluding Belgrade, of course, because...
Rovinj.
Rovinj, okay.
Rovinj. I'm in love with Rovinj and with Weekend Media Festival because, no, for me, that's the best portion of how to make the season longer, how to bring everyone from
very
marketing.
Clever approach.
Very clever approach. How to bring everyone there. I go there, I see a lot of colleagues and a lot of friends from XU, from all over the XU, and you have 3 to 4 lunches and you finish everything that you need. You do not need to chase around Belgrade, around Zagreb, around other cities.
Exactly.
That's a good example. If we bring more ESG essence there, I think we could do a lot.
Yeah.
But also we have Portoj, we have Piran, and so on, amazing cities, so towns, small towns.
We usually finish with a round of fire talk questions. These are short questions. You can answer them, you can not answer them, or you can talk about them. Planning or improvisation?
Planning always, but we also need to be aware that improvisation sometimes save our life. Cool. But I'm a management guy, so you know, planning, organizing, leading, executing, and control, I mean, 4 functions, yes, but if we do not know how and when to improvise, we are screwed.
Yeah, perfect. Infrastructure or knowledge?
I think that infrastructure is something that comes after the knowledge. We need to have knowledge to build infrastructure. So I think that the diploma and the knowledge is something very, very important that could bring us to another infrastructure and again to another and so on and so on. So knowledge, thumbs up.
Top.
Global impact or local benefit?
Actually, if we look at it from the perspective of ESG, we have global agenda, but it is useless if we don't bring it to the local level. We give the context to local. So let us combine these two.
Dušan, thank you very much.
One more.
One more.
Okay.
Rakia or beer? Rakia or
Rakia, always Rakia connecting people, so.
Super. Thanks a lot.
I mean, it was
Dušan, thank you very much for coming to Ljubljana Talks, and it was such a pleasure. And everybody out there, keep tuned, stay in touch. There's more coming up soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.